Alright, there we go. Bans and picks about to execute here. And just checking with another player who dropped out, but they are going to do the bans and the picks. That's all fine.
I think his battery life did fall out on him there, so he needs to charge. Happens to the best. If I remember right, it happened to us on the ESL stream once as well in the very, very, very beginning. I still remember from where I watched that stream. I was sitting in a hotel lobby.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
was watching this, like, the first ESL thing, Vainglory Esports event, and Jason Kaplan and Blueberry is casting it, and then randomly, like, black screen. What happened? And
yeah.
The NVIDIA shield died on you guys.
Days who I will never forget.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's one of those, yeah.
Alright, first ban is executed from Von. It is and it stays Glaive, asking for 5 minutes. Sorry about that. And the ban from Silly Smurf is Scarf.
So no Scarf. Fun time. The dream, as Valdez just said, the dream of killing one turret. That was the 12 tacos 12 dream. We'll see if that Scarf gets... Well, that's not going to be picked, but this time Scarf has no dream, so sorry about that. The dream of Scarf, it sounds like a book, actually.
The dream of Scarf. Yeah, so waiting for the picks to be executed, since one player is about to reconnect, and in the meantime we have something very, very nice for you. Talking about MVP, the most valuable player of the specific match day, and we have one for Europe,
North America.
North America. And that is the next one. So we will have this ready in just a few minutes. So I'm very, very excited to see who is that. And of course we will have...
Oh, this is actually very interesting. I just acknowledged. I totally forgot that he got that. So let's... I mean, we give them a bit time anyway, since he needs to charge his iPad. So let's just jump into the MVP video and be a bit surprised, guys.
All right.
Able to win a fight as they get big damage there onto Vox. Once again, just blindly putting that in the field. Captain trying to go into the stun. There's the silence, but will they be able to get anything else? Finally going in, the group with the Spitfire getting a lot of damage onto the Arden. Now trying to turn their attention to Vox. He's getting a ton of AoE, but it's not enough. He is down, Zelkire is down, and this is going to be Kaz Esports weathering the storm, coming from behind. Bottom jungle, you see a 2-on-2 skirmish. Celeste able to roam down with that Heliogenesis, picks up the kill. Great job on the rotation ball by Kasi.
Yeah, still ahead in gold. Here we go.
Fight happening in the enemy jungle. They get so many low health bars. Here comes the big red button, picking up one kill, dropping Celeste very low, but Celeste does answer with the kill on the Scarf. They're going to try and chase it down. Glaive is completely down very, very quickly. They're not even looking for the fight. They're just going straight at the turret. Kraken is getting dropped very low as well, but there's no focus on players from either team. The turret is down. Finally, the fight starts to come out. Taco's getting taken very low. Solar Storm annihilating the duel. Scarf is going to fall down as well. A huge afterburn denying Adagio entrance into his own base, and that is going to be the game. Ace picks up. The Bane Crystal is going down, and
All right, back to the draft pick scene here. Very interesting to see 12 Taco 12 being the MVP.
I mean, we just talked about him, like about the Scarf Dream, and then I just thought, well, we do have an MVP video. Who's actually MVP from last?
Yeah.
And then I clicked on the preview and thought, well, is that a like, am I getting trolled by myself right now, or is that really 12 Tacos 12 on Scarf and Celeste?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting since he really had some good scenes there. It worked out pretty good. He had all, like, when we watched the rebroadcast and checked out the gameplays from the players, he had so many little key scenes where he stopped the player from teleporting back, then another team fight just caused by that stop, just a little Spitfire, you know, and then the good plays from Celeste afterwards. That worked out pretty well. So yeah, big shout out to him and congratulations to 500 Eyes, and of course thanks a lot for Rumbly to Rumbly Supersets for creating the MVP video. In the meantime, you see a bit of a pick here on the screen. Von picked Jewel, then we have the Sillies there going for Vox and Celeste, and they are rounding up the roster now with Taka and Catherine. So that looks good on both sides at the moment. For now, Catherine, Taka, and Jewel, and on the other hand side we are having Adagio as the last pick for the Sillies. So Adagio as a supporter here back. Yeah, looks good. Looks good.
Yeah, especially in the US, the Adagio support is probably quite famous, or I would at least say, I mean, I'm not queuing a whole lot in the NA region, but it feels actually very, very frequent picked. Also, we do see that getting picked up by Gabe Wiesel, one of the VIPL winners out of Gangsters, playing the bait Wiesel Adagio quite frequently, and yeah, I like it. I really like it. It's difficult though, very difficult to pull off a very good support on Adagio. In general, I think Adagio's skill cap it's very high to be a very good Adagio, since you need to cast a lot of those spells on yourself, keep stutter stepping, and maybe also cast them, obviously as a support, cast them on your allies. Yeah, not too easy to play, but at this skill tier and skill level, and this far into the Vainglory League Season 1 qualifier, I really think that's going to be a good one.
Alright, starting it off here, players are picking, and we will jump onto the fold after a quick little trailer.
Shatter the Vain, a podcast about vainglory.
Welcome back to the Halcyon Folds. Here we got another great matchup between the Sillies and Von. The Sillies also gets a small reward for very entertaining team name. My favorite was Organic Orange Juice, who actually did get kicked out by Team Toss, who we did see in that first game. But unfortunately, Organic Orange Juice is no longer with us. RIP.
Yeah, unfortunate, but we do still have at least one original name, I guess. I was gonna say silly name, but then I realized how horrible that would be to say. It is literally, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. So we do have an early skirmish here in the jungle. Phoenix just gonna be using that Merciless Pursuit to run away, instead of pursuing, I guess, pursuing life instead of pursuing an enemy.
Pursuing something, for sure. This is kind of interesting. We do have the Taka lane. Can't remember the last time I did see this. It's kind of interesting. I mean, you get a lot of mobility, for sure. I think it's quite good against someone like Celeste. You can jump on her really easily, do a ton of damage. And in terms of your lane, I think it's going to do quite well here against Celeste.
Yeah, I mean, really gonna have an ability to dodge out the Heliogenesis pretty easily, and the core collapse, of course, also stacking up the passive by, constantly having minions to attack onto. So I think it can do fairly well. It's obviously not conventional in the least. So you could also potentially get that, just that pure surprise factor. As we have another fight in the bottom, and here's another advantage that Taka in the lane can very, very quickly get down to these fights, as Mac Daddy's in a lot of trouble. They are going to trade 1-for-1 on kills, but Silly Smurf is in some serious trouble as well, as Von and Vonk, or Von E and Von C, I'm not sure how they have them pronounced, but they are also going to trade, and now it actually looks like Silly Omar is going to look to make it the 3rd kill, but not quite going to be able to catch up to the Taka. And in the end, it is a 2-for-2 when the dust settles.
Yeah. I always say the sign of a great Celeste is just watch for the core collapses and see how frequently and how accurate they can land those. But Silly Omar was right on top of that. Landed the core collapse at the most crucial time, caught both of them. They were both very bunched up together, of course, but was able to turn that fight in their favor because of that fantastic core collapse, even after it started off 3v2 in Von's favor for a very long time.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how this is going to affect things going forward. Just seeing that aggressiveness coming out of Von is really surprising, personally. You don't exactly expect Taka, lane Taka, to be looking for fights constantly, but there's a huge kill picked up for Silly Smurf on this box, and now they're actually looking for Von C here. He's going to use the Rocket Leap to try and get away, but it's not going to be enough. Those Resonance Strikes doing so much damage, and that's all of a sudden 3 kills picked up for nothing.
Oh boy, this is already getting quite out of hand. Getting that what looked like an ace, or at least 3 kills, and now going to steal a bunch of farm. I have to say the weapon Vox with the Adagio for the buff does a ton of damage early on, and I can see this being very, very strong early game specifically.
Yeah, I mean, Vox is typically crystal power, but whenever you put him in the jungle, that weapon power does seem to do a lot better, especially with the right support like the Adagio. Huge core collapse. Silly Omar catching Taka underneath the turret. What a play. The Sillies are just, they showed up to play. My goodness.
They're not playing silly at all. It's quite strong play, especially from Silly Omar. As you mentioned, that core collapse, landing it perfectly. I feel like Taka not respecting the core collapse from Celeste. You got to be very careful. Taka's really strong as well, and if he had missed that core collapse, he probably would have died under turret, especially with the allies of Taka being there to help him out. But not quite going in that direction, and they're going to look for some more damage here, but Von or Von E eating a lot of damage to start things off, so not going to find much.
Yeah, they are really trying to put a lot of pressure onto Omar here, but just not getting anything out of it. And you know, I talk about it a lot in these games. If you're looking for a gank and you can't just sit there and wait for it to appear. If it's not there when you first show up, you really do just need to leave and move on, because there's so much action going on constantly throughout the map. And if you're wasting time in a bush just looking for a gank, that's time that the enemy team is spending farming, as here's a huge 3-on-3 fight.
Yeah, Silly Smurf on that Vox, taking a huge amount of damage after missing all this stuff, but extending a little bit too far forward, and 2 members of Von are going to go down very, very quickly. Really all up to that Celeste Solar Storm landing pretty perfectly there, and the big follow-up from Adagio as well.
Yeah, Solar Storm chunked out the health of Von C, and really turned the tides of that fight in favor of the Sillies, as they now have all of a sudden in 6 minutes an 8-2 lead and almost a 4,000 gold lead. I mean, this is almost sounding a little too familiar, the scoreline.
Yeah, looks very familiar. In fact, Celeste once again dominating a game. The enemy team tries to do stuff to counter it. It doesn't work out. The Celeste player is quite fantastic, And it ends up that the Celeste player also has two fantastic heroes in the jungle that work out so well early game. They can put on so much pressure so that they take that ganking away from the team that wanted to go. It's almost the same thing, slightly different heroes this time around, though.
Yeah, different heroes, but the exact same concept, like you mentioned. Just, you know, knowing that, seeing the double stun coming out and saying, all right, well, they're just going to be looking to gank constantly. Let's ensure that they can't do that. As a bit of a whiff there with the wait for it, but not really going to matter too much because there's not going to be any follow-up. They just don't have the ability to capitalize on that ultimate being down because they are this far behind right now.
Yeah. And I do want to point out as well, the winner of this match will be facing Legacy Reborn in the semis. So with the way the Sillies are playing so far, you know, looking quite good, at least to take the beginning of this game number 1. And if they do go on, that match against Legacy Reborn, especially with very similar playstyles, is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, we'll have to see. They do still have to not only close this one out, but then win a second game as well. Of course, this could just be, you know, it could be Vaughn just kind of, you know, testing the waters a bit, seeing how they play, and you know, who knows, maybe they have something up their sleeve that will be able to work out significantly better in the second game, as they are going in once again onto Phoenix. Phoenix is going to fall. Another kill picked up by Silly Smurf.
Yeah, and he's not done yet. He wants that one more auto attack, but it's not going to get down. Big red button is going to hit, but not going to do enough damage. And also the wait for it, the tip of that did also hit the jewel. On the other side of the map, it looks like Taka was diving the turret for Celeste, and they traded kills there.
I mean, at least he did pick up the kill there. I mean, when you are behind, trading 1 for 1 is considered a win, just because, you know, you're just trying to make your way back into the game. But they are awfully far behind here at 9 minutes. About 5,000 gold here, so not quite as far behind as we were seeing in the previous games, but now they're actually going on the aggression here, looking to pick up the kill onto Mac Daddy and Silly Smurf. They're going to get them extremely low, but somehow they're both still alive, but not for long, as the ultimate from Catherine comes through and picks up both of them. However, the Sillies were able to get the kill onto Jewel.
Yeah, just making the best of not the greatest situation. The Sillies definitely have to be careful about not overextending here. That's one thing we saw to Legacy Reborn, is that they do not overextend. They did not overextend ever, not even once. But we're beginning to see that a little bit here from the Sillies. And by the way, I'm actually being updated real time that actually the winner of this is not going to face Legacy in the finals. They're actually going to go up, or in the semifinals rather, they're actually going to go up against the winner of Ardent Alliance and Team Rin. So look forward to that match as well.
Yeah, either way, you know, it's going to be the semifinals, the top 4 teams in the region. So, you know, it doesn't really matter who gets through. It should be exceptionally good matches to watch, as we are approaching minute 11 now. With 10 minutes already in the books, the Sillies do have a solid lead on the game, but they aren't quite dominating the way that, you know, I kind of thought they would, based on how well the early game went for them. You know, they're not really taking control of the enemy jungle. They're just they were playing really aggressively. You know, you kind of pointed out, overstaying a little bit, giving a couple kills back over to Vaughn, but they do still have a very commanding lead, especially as that gold mine pays out with 300 gold to each of them.
Yeah, it's one thing to be opportunistic and say, hey, we're ahead, we should push our lead, you know, let's take away their farm, but you also do not want to overextend and be aggressive in a not so efficient way, which is what we did see out of them. And even if you just overextend one time, you know, kill streak, get that extra gold back, and, you know, Vaughn could be right back in this game. They're looking for the stun now by Catherine, but a really nice crucible there, it looks like. out of Adagio.
Yeah, just gonna be both teams kind of staring each other down, dancing around a bit, looking for an opening. Especially this Taka really wants to find a way to get in onto this back line and takes it right there.
Yep, Silent's gonna come out, but this Taka's doing huge damage. Gonna take Box out of the fight very, very early on, and now Silly Omar is all alone. Solar Storm is going to come out, and he is going to try to kite here, but very nicely done by Von C to back up and line up that big red button with the stun from Catherine, and Von is not out of this game just yet.
Yeah, not quite. I mean, they are making a very good case for coming back in this one. You know, I personally feel like the weapon power Vox, I feel like it does fall off a bit as the game gets later on. So if they can stall this out and really hold on to their turrets and defend well, I mean, Jewel gets obscenely strong. You know, she can drop people down to half health with just one Thunder Strike. And then, of course, Taka, you know, they are a rather squishy team on the side of the Sillies. You know, there's not a whole lot of opportunity to build defensive items without sacrificing a massive amount of damage. And so Jewel and Taka can really completely assassinate people if they get in and catch them off guard. So as the game goes later, the Sillies really do have to be more and more careful of the positioning, especially keeping in mind where Taka is. I mean, Taka with the Kaku can make some really nice flank plays with the Jewel.
Yeah, we are going to have another engagement here. The Versa Judgment going to come down and lining up the big wait for it. They're going to take Jewel out of the fight from the get-go here. Now Von E just barely able to get out of this fight with that Kaku from the Taka. And it looks like on the other side here, Catherine taking a lot of damage. Going to have to back off of that gold mine. And Catherine just going to try to hide in the nook. But looks like she should be able to go down, and there she does. And that will be the gold mine going straight back to the Sillies.
Yeah, only a 90 gold payout, and then they'll be getting another very small gold payout coming up in about 45 seconds as Kraken will be spawning. But I think that's kind of, I think the Sillies there were sort of just righting the ship a bit. They had lost a couple of fights in a row there, but really turned it back around with that one, saying, all right, you know what, we are still really far ahead. Let's actually play like it and just, you know, show them that we are, you know, why we got this lead to begin with. But with just a couple of seconds till Kraken, it's going to be very risky for them to go for it right away. So I feel like they would have to try and bait a fight out of Von and then go for the Kraken. But we'll see. They are getting themselves in the area. It's just going to be a matter of how they actually decide to play. It looks like they may just go straight for it.
They're thinking about it.
Nope, never mind. Here comes the fight.
Yep, here we go. Phoenix going to eat a bunch of damage, but very tanky on that Catherine. Just going to merciless pursuit that safety once again. But now taking a bunch of damage here. Again, hitting that scout trap. And Silly Smurf is going deep. Going to line up the wait for it. Is going to take him down. But a big stun here from Von C. Versa Judgment on the other side. And the huge Solar Storm. But at the same time, Celeste will go down. And Mac Daddy B is the only one left after that crazy team fight.
Yeah, that looked really good for Von there for a minute. The big red button did so much work in that fight, but unfortunately for them, they were not able to survive it, and it is going to be this Adagio pushing on up. Of course, he has the ability to give himself some extra attack damage on this turret. We'll be trying to take it out and should be able to get it as Catherine comes in just to try and wave clear, but it won't be enough. Turret. Actually, the turret didn't fall. What a defense! As the rest of the there it goes. Minions took it.
Just barely. I was getting worried about Mac Daddy. I thought Taka was going to be able to jump on him just barely, but is able to get away with enough defense and using those boots as well. And do see Taka now scouting forward, but is going to Kaku away, and the Kraken is actually going to get started here.
Yeah, they're going to start up. I mean, Vaughn has to try and contest this. They are going to make their way in. They see that it's going down, but they aren't going to get there in time. Kraken is picked up, and now Vaughn has to recall to defend their turret. They don't have the best team for killing Kraken, and there is a pretty solid siege potential on the side of the Sillies, you know, with the Celeste and Vox, and Adagio as well. But
yeah, if by not the best siege comp, you mean like quite possibly the worst one you could have. Like, it's kind of
trying
unfortunate.
to sugarcoat it a bit.
Yeah.
But Kraken is coming in, and this could be this will be at the very least this outer turret.
Yeah. And as you mentioned before, a very fantastic siege comp here. Smartly, Phoenix and Von E are trying to go for the engage desperately, but now no Kaku here for that. Taka is going to jump onto Celeste. The Solar Storm totally whiffs, but is it going to matter at the end of it all? Taka is still alive, trying to do some damage to Silly Smurf, but Silly Smurf wants to go for this kill, and he will pick it up. Only Catherine survives at the end of this one.
Yeah, and Kraken still just below half health, is now working on these crystal turrets. The first one's going to go down very quickly here. Second one will be turned on to, but the Catherine is giving them a bit of a scare. Of course, they do have just a couple of seconds before Jewel is back up. Will they be able to take this turret? Looks like they should be able. Nope, Mac Daddy's going to back off, knowing that Jewel is respawning. Does decide to back out. However, Kraken should take this turret down. Will get it with the last hit. So the Vein Crystal is now exposed to the Sillies.
Yeah, and that's actually a big deal. You know, that opens up backdooring potential and makes getting that crystal a little bit easier as well, and just a straight up push. And just going to be another slight advantage here to the Sillies. And yeah, we really saw what a Kraken can do at this point in the game with the fantastic siege comp out of the Sillies, taking down 3 turrets in total and trading only the 500 gold each from the Kraken. And they've totally opened that entire base wide open now.
Yeah, now grabbing the minion mine as well, just to make that last push in a little bit easier. They should really be able to make just one final push. And again, without a turret to defend the base, it's going to take a desperation team fight from Vaughn to prevent the victory going over to the Sillies in game 1.
Yep, pushing down the lane now here. Just scouting the brushes with Celeste, those Heliogenesis. Just going to give the vision, and they're just pushing, and Vaughn looks like they're going to go back now. I was wondering what they were doing there in the middle of the map, but they do know that they have to defend this push, and they're going to try to do just that.
Yeah, they tried to set up a pick, but of course, Omar on the Celeste able to just scout out rushes so easily with that Heliogenesis. Really denied that death bush concept that they were going for. And this is going to be the desperation fight.
Oh, and no reflex block gonna come down to Omar. He will get stunned. Big burst of judgment, but Bonnie is still alive in the back, doing a ton of damage. Celeste will go down, and now they're jumping onto Silly Smurf on that Vox. Looks like he should be able to go down as well. Just barely will he be taken out, but everybody on the side of Vaughn is super low, so they're not able to get that kill onto Adagio.
The successful defense, though, their Vein Crystal is still standing. They kept the Sillies out of their base and have the advantage now for at least 20 seconds or so. And with Kraken coming up here, Adagio just going to check for vision, see if there's any scout traps in the area. Doesn't find them, and now should just be willing to wait for his team to respawn, and they can go for this again maybe. But a really good fight there from Vaughn to pick up that 2-for-1 victory and extend this game at least a couple minutes longer.
Yeah, you said it before, as long as they don't die, it's going to be good, and picking up that 2-for-1 is obviously going to be great. Just you know, 3 or 4 more of those fights, and maybe one of them right before the Kraken that goes even more slightly in their favor, and Vaughn is right back in this game. Definitely do not count him out. This game has enough comeback mechanics in it for sure. It looks like they want to set up another fight now.
Yeah, they're diving right in onto Omar, getting him down and taken out before he can do anything. This is a huge fight for Vaughn. They're trying to turn their focus onto Silly Smurf, but Smurf just has way too much damage, and the healing from Mac Daddy is too much. They pick up the ace, and they should be able to just go finish the game. Great job by the Sillies.
Yeah, that was looking like a fantastic fight for Vaughn at the beginning. They took out Celeste before she barely did anything, but at this point, with the breaking point and the Sorrow Blade and so much armor stacked onto that Vox, he just did way too much damage and had too much sustain in that fight. And it looks like that will be game number 1 now, going to the Sillies.
Yeah, the double armor build on the Vox as well, just to help him stay alive. And great job by the Sillies taking game 1 of this best of 3. Yeah, taking another look at those items. Once again, Silly Smurf picking up 2 coat of plates. The armor really coming in handy against that double weapon power team of Vaughn. And of course, the healing from Adagio, able to keep him alive. Not only the healing from Gift of Fire, but also the Fountain of Renewal. And then also finishing a contraption. Honestly, anytime that I'm in a game and there's a Taka on the enemy team, if I'm playing support, contraption's one of the first items I build. It's so good for dealing with the Taka. You know, as soon as he pops the Kaku, you just activate it for a scout, a flare, and it completely nullifies that ability from the Taka. And then, of course, a Eve of Harvest, a Shatterglass, and a Broken Myth from the Celeste. Really strong game from the Sillies. And once again, they're up 1-0 in this quarterfinal matchup.
Yep. So with that being said, let's throw it back to our guys in Germany.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for the commentary, guys, on